Have you ever felt like you're drowning in English grammar rules? Like your head is crammed with vocabulary lists, but when you try to speak, your tongue ties itself in knots? I've been there. For years, I was stuck in that frustrating loop. I'd spend hours memorizing, drilling, only to feel a wave of panic when I actually needed to use English. It made me wonder, is there a better way? A faster way? That brings us to a huge question, one I bet many of you have pondered. Can comprehensible input help you achieve fluent English in 6 months? It sounds like a dream, right? 6 months to fluency. Let's unpack that. My own English learning journey started like a badly written instruction manual, confusing, boring, and utterly ineffective. Picture this. Me, a teenager, hunched over textbooks thicker than a dictionary, highlighter in hand, trying to absorb irregular verbs like a human. Sponge. Spoiler alert. Sponges have their limits, and so did my brain. I could ace grammar tests, sure. I could probably recite conjugation tables in my sleep. But ask me to have a simple, natural conversation. Absolute crickets, or worse, a jumbled mess of perfectly grammatical but totally robotic sentences. It was like knowing all the ingredients for a gourmet meal, but having no idea how to actually cook. The joy was missing. The connection was missing. And fluency? That felt light years away. I remember thinking, if this is what it takes, I'll be studying English forever and still sound like a confused tourist. Have you ever felt that way in your learning journey? That sinking feeling that maybe, just maybe, you're not cut out for this? Then something shifted. I stumbled upon this idea, almost by accident, called comprehensible input. At first, the name itself sounded a bit academic, didn't it? Comprehensible input. But the core idea championed by Dr. Krashen was so beautifully simple. We acquire language when we understand messages, not when we consciously learn rules, but when we get input, listening or reading that we can mostly understand. Input that's engaging, interesting, and just a little bit beyond our current level. It was like a light bulb didn't just go on. It was a full-blown fireworks display in my brain. Could it really be that simple? Learning English not through painful study, but through enjoyment? Now, I was skeptical. 6 months to fluency? It seemed too good to be true, especially after my years of slogging through the traditional mud. But I was also desperate for a change. So I decided to give it a try. My first experiment wasn't some grand structured plan. It was me deciding to watch a kid's animated show in English. Yes, you heard that right. Something simple with clear visuals and repetitive language. And you know what? For the first time, I wasn't studying English. I was just watching a story. I understood most of it. There were new words, sure, but the context, the pictures, the story itself made them click. It wasn't a chore. It was fun. This was my entry point. From kids shows, I moved to podcasts for learners, then simple audiobooks, then YouTube channels. Much like our very own Comprehensible English Hub, where we believe in making Krashen's method simple and fun through engaging stories. My guiding principle became, is this interesting to me, and can I understand most of it? If the answer was yes, I dived in. Suddenly, English wasn't this abstract subject confined to textbooks. It was alive. It was stories. It was characters. It was information I actually cared about. Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were days I felt like I wasn't progressing. Old habits of over-analyzing grammar would creep back in. Sometimes finding material that was just right. Not too easy, not too hard. Felt like a treasure hunt. But the key difference was I was enjoying the process. The frustration wasn't about the method anymore. It was just a natural ebb and flow of learning. And that's a huge part of what makes comprehensible input so powerful. It changes your relationship with the language. English transformed from an academic subject I had to learn into a world I wanted to explore. Can you imagine how this insight changed things for me? The big aha moment, the one that really cemented my faith in this approach, came about 3 months into my dedicated CI journey. I was watching an English movie. No subtitles, just for fun, not expecting to understand everything. And suddenly I realized I wasn't just picking up words. I was feeling the dialogue. I laughed at the jokes, not a second after they landed, but as they landed. I understood the nuances, the sarcasm. It was like a veil had been lifted. I wasn't translating in my head anymore. I was just understanding. That day, I didn't just watch a movie. I experienced a piece of my own transformation. It was exhilarating. It was the kind of progress I hadn't seen in years of traditional study. So let's circle back to that big, bold question. Can comprehensible input help you achieve fluent English in 6 months? Here's my honest take. Based on my journey on what I've seen work for so many learners here at the Comprehensible English Hub family. 6 months is a short time, achieving native-like, flawless fluency for everyone in that period. That might be a stretch, and let's be real. Fluency itself is a spectrum. But can you achieve a powerful, confident, functional level of fluency where you can express yourself, understand others, and truly enjoy using English in just 6 months using comprehensible input? Absolutely yes. It's incredibly possible. Think of traditional learning like trying to build a magnificent Lego castle by only studying the instruction booklet for each individual brick over and over. You might know a lot about the bricks, their shapes, their colors, but comprehensible input? That's like someone giving you a huge, exciting box of Legos and a picture of the castle, and you start building, figuring it out as you go, driven by the joy of seeing it all come together. You're learning by doing, by engaging, by creating. Which one sounds more fun? And which one do you think will get you a completed castle faster? The magic of CI is that it taps into your brain's natural language acquisition device. You learned your first language this way, without grammar drills or vocabulary lists. You just listened, you understood, and eventually you spoke. Comprehensible input helps you replicate that natural process for English. It's about quantity and quality of input. Lots of listening, lots of reading to things you find genuinely engaging. So how could this look for you practically? Imagine starting your day listening to a fun English podcast on your commute. Maybe you watch an engaging storyteller on YouTube, like here during your lunch break. In the evening, perhaps you relax with an English TV series you enjoy. Starting with subtitles in your own language if you need, then switching to English subtitles, and eventually no subtitles at all. The key is consistency and enjoyment. It's not about forcing yourself for hours. It's about weaving English into your life in ways that feel good. What's the first step you take inspired by this? My own transformation was profound. Within about 6 to 8 months of truly dedicating myself to CI, I went from being a hesitant, self-conscious speaker to someone who could chat comfortably with native speakers, who could watch complex movies, who could even start cracking jokes in English. Sometimes they were even funny. It wasn't just about the language. It was about the confidence that came with it. Doors opened. New friendships blossomed. The world felt bigger, more accessible. That fear of speaking? It didn't vanish overnight, but it massively receded, replaced by a growing excitement to connect and communicate. And that, my friends, is the power we're talking about. It's not just about learning words and rules. It's about unlocking your voice. It's about connecting with people and ideas. It's about making English a part of who you are, not just something you study. So, to answer the question once and for all, can comprehensible input help you achieve fluent English in 6 months? Yes, it can absolutely help you make incredible transformative progress towards fluency, and for many, achieve a very strong functional fluency within that time frame. It puts you on the fast track. It makes the journey enjoyable, sustainable, and incredibly rewarding. It's not a magic pill. It requires your engagement, your time, and your curiosity. But it is the most natural, effective, and dare I say fun way to learn a language that I've ever experienced. Here at the Comprehensible English Hub, that's our core belief. We're here to provide you with those engaging stories, that understandable input to make your journey smoother and more exciting. So if you're tired of the old ways, if you're ready to try something that truly works with your brain instead of against it, I invite you to dive into the world of comprehensible input. Start with one story, one podcast, one video, find what you love and just listen, just understand. The fluency will follow. What are you waiting for? Your English adventure starts now.